action footage from the summer cross and my first outing of the cross season, and I'm gridded third row because I missed week one, and in horrible fashion I decided to absolutely go like a lunatic because you can see Paul Lloyd, who was up there on the pink bike, is an absolute animal. So I've just sent it straight away off the start line. I wanted to move up as quickly as possible, and I made some mistakes doing this, like coming here, I'm like sprinting, giving it all my beans and burning all my matches. But I've moved up from third row to 2, 4, 6, and I do an absolute shocker into this corner. I come in so hot trying to get the overtake. I'm nearly doing a Del Boy through the tape. Had to slam on the brakes. And now this is where I make my biggest mistake. I get impatient. Now I am on the hardtail mountain bike, which was a terrible decision for this course because there's a lot of long drags and I should have been on like a slick tyre. I should have been on the cross bike. But coming out of this corner, I saw the gap was opening and I went left and through the deepest, thickest grass. Look at that. It's the height of my handlebars. And I was putting out watts and not getting past. That was a terrible decision. It was just pure impatience. Sometimes I think when you're starting a little bit further back, one thing I need to learn is to have a bit of patience rather than burning all my matches, because I burnt a solid match there. I was doing like 700 watts through that thick grass and getting nowhere. And here I knew I'd be able to move up through here, but I was absolutely shelling myself to try and get to Paul's wheel, because you can see the gaps opening up already, and I knew if I let him go I was never going to see him again. It's as simple as that. And to be honest, even if I had caught him, he'd have ditched me anyway because I did not have the legs, and I just burnt every match I had. But the next section was a real long straight, so I knew I had to play my cards here and sit in on this drag, because on the mountain bike I wasn't aero and I knew I wouldn't be able to close that gap down to Paul. But even just sitting in, I was having to like really tuck down because I was like, oh my god, I'm in such an awful position. It was a headwind this section, so lad on the front, God knows what he was doing. He must have been absolutely shelling himself, but you'll see the gap Paul Lloyd put into us. So along here, I was trying to recover a bit, but I'm still doing like efforts of way over threshold, and I'm just thinking, your boy is going to go pop. And I was trying everything to minimise the damage to Paul, and I knew, you could see me looking there to see where he was. You can see he's already round the end hairpin up the hill. Bloke's an animal. So I knew on this corner I needed to move up, and I needed to give it one last big ping to try and get on. And you can see nearly, I haven't got much more watts than that. This was full gas to try and get on and bridge over to him. But unfortunately, your boy did not have the minerals or the berries. You can see him ahead now, and that's the thing. Maybe if I didn't burn so many matches at the start, I could have closed this gap down, but I was going round now and I was absolute shell city, thinking, you can see I've managed to close it down a little bit with that surge over the top, but in cross, once that gap goes, it's sometimes really hard to shut it down, and he is super strong. And excuses, your boy was on the wrong bike. Apart, like, through these twisty corner sections, it was perfect to be on a mountain bike. Like, you could absolutely swing into the corners and have loads of grip. The problem was, they didn't mow the lawn for me. Right, I need the lawn mown. I want this like Wentworth Estate greens. No, I'm joking. And when you've got a mountain bike tyre on that, it is savage. It feels like you're riding through glue and you're not going anywhere. And that's my excuse. I didn't have the right bike for this. So I'm going again next week, and the plan is to dust off the cobwebs of the cross bike. It has got gravel tyres on at the moment, and have another nudge. And hopefully if I can get gridded a little bit closer to the front, I might be able to hold Paul Lloyd's wheel for like 30 seconds before he absolutely dispatches me. But coming into this section now, I looked over my shoulder and I had Hugh on my back wheel. He's a junior rider, strong road rider, and he ripped my legs off. I thought we might have had a chance to shut it down to Paul, But just coming round here, I remember looking over, and I'll admit, I'm a bit ashamed of this because I think he's only 16, but I do stick the elbow on him. I saw him coming to my right here, so I shut the door on him there and like basically put him into the tape. Disgusting behaviour from a soon-to-be dad, but if you ain't rubbing, you ain't racing. And instantly he came round me and started putting me in the hurt box. He has some power on the flats. It was crazy. It's a good job the lad cannot go round a corner, otherwise he'd have dropped me a lot quicker. But you can see I'm glued to his wheel, but as soon as he goes, bang, 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 absolute power session, and I was getting dispatched. Look at that. I was like, I've burnt my biscuit, that is it. But thankfully I did manage to close the gap down to him in a second. Not round this corner. I had to do a little spike up. I shut down the gap a little bit, but you can see how much more speed I'm holding. So that is why cornering is so important in cross. It is not just about your fitness. You've got to be able to corner, you've got to be an all-round athlete, and there's still work I need to do on my cornering, that is for sure. But this next little bit was the only muddy section of the course, which was nice, and we dropped down, and that is where I closed the gap. It's a super slick, like off-camber corner, and you'll see, I think Hugh takes his foot out, and it's great, the whole foot out, flat out, but the problem is with that, you've then got to clip back in to start applying the power again, so it allows me to shut the gap. And I do use the foot out technique a lot in winter cross, but when you see that, you realise just how much time you lose. Whereas if you're really good technically, like I remember when I raced with Nick, done the practice laps with Nick Craig, he rarely takes his foot out, and he said it's because he's more than capable of handling the conditions with his foot in, but at any moment if he thinks he's going to go down, he's ready to dab it. But it's so much quicker if you've got the skills to keep your foot in. But then here we go again. Hugh is about to rip my legs off again. Look, 800 watts. I was like, right, settle down now, settle down. And then he kicks again. Look, gets out the saddle, goes again. I'm like, what are you doing to me, you young whippet? Absolutely killing me. And then that wasn't enough. He then like goes again and ramps it again. It is just absolutely full gas. I'm clinging on for dear life right now. And I just couldn't do it. When we go around this next little bit, he fully signed, sealed, delivered, dispatched me. Super strong ride. Hopefully I can find some legs and get payback next time, and hopefully we're a bit closer to Paul. But it's absolutely wicked racing, and they've got another 4 of these on, I think it's 4. But out of here, he rips it again. Look, 600 watts, the power on the lad. And then he goes again over the top, and this is where he dispatches me. I think it's just after this corner he kicks again, and I could not go with it. You can see my heart rate's not even maxed out. It was just fatigue, legs didn't have it. But yeah, they've got another 4 rounds of this on, so this here is where he dispatches me, and then I almost closed the gap down to him on the corners again, but in the end, it was just the legs did not have that top end spike, and what it's made me realise is you can't go into any cross race without the real top end stuff, where like right now where he's ripping like 400 watts probably, I just had to ease off the gas. I was an absolute bloody shell. But look, you'll see again that same corner, I almost closed down the gap to him, but then it was over again. As soon as we got to that long drag, he absolutely dispatched me again. But look how close I got. I was literally on him. Just there, made contact, but I knew I was going to be absolutely struggle central again. What are we? 11 minutes in, and I was thinking, this is killing me. But absolutely love it. There's no better way to get some training in as well. If at the moment I'm really struggling to hit the hard efforts in training and want to dig myself into a hole, so having a carrot dangle in front of you and chasing that and having a course set out is absolutely wicked. But you saw him kick then he kicks again. I was like, what's this lad made of? God, does he not feel pain? And look at it, look at the pace he's holding, and I just had to, I was like, that's it. and he got quite aero as well, so hats off to him. But I'm bringing my cross bike next week for revenge. Look how quickly he dispatches me. I'm still doing like decent watts for me, like sort of sweet spot, but he is just pulling away at a rate of knots your boy cannot handle. But I was very close to closing the gap down to him on that same corner again. I could tell he just didn't have the confidence, but unfortunately this time it was just too much work to do, and as soon as we hit that drag again, boy was gone. You can see I've moved my hands in now. I'm trying to like get in a TT aero position, do absolutely anything to try and get a little bit more aero on the mountain bike and shut it down, but I didn't manage to do it. But we're going to finish it off with the move of the night, a little Max Verstappen move, the undercut to finish the race off, and that was absolutely everything I had. I gave it a good crack, absolutely wicked fun. If you're about in like the Newbury, Wokingham area, give these a crack. They're absolutely wicked. There's another 4 more, like I said. I finished 3rd on the night. Hopefully I can get a little bit closer to the front of the race this week that come in. It's on Thursday, so I'm excited for that. I hope you enjoyed this little race recap, and I'll catch you in the next one.